Please be seated, members. Please bear with as I get my glasses out, otherwise I can't see anything. And the caption on my mug, please, I'm not trying to incite a rebellion tonight, I promise. So, good evening, members. I welcome everyone to the full council meeting, including members, officers and any members of the public who may be attending remotely. Please be advised that the meeting will be live streamed and data collected during the recording of the meeting will be retained in accordance with the council's data retention policy. The recording of the meeting may be added to the council website. The following staff are in attendance: the Chief Executive, the Monitoring Officer, Section 151 Officer, Head of Finance and Procurement, Democratic and Electoral Services Manager, and Senior Democratic Services Officer. Agenda item 1, there is no scheduled test of the fire alarm, and if the alarm does sound, please leave the building quickly using the doors signed as fire escapes and assemble in the car park at the front of the building and await instructions. If there is anyone in attendance who might require assistance in evacuating the building, please make yourself known. Thank you. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. I invite the Chief Executive to give apologies, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have received apologies from Councillors Roger Clark, Alex Eyre, Alistair Gould, Rich Lehman, Peter MacDonald, Claire Martin, Pete Neal and Mark Tucker.
Are there any others, please? Councillor Richard Palmer.
I've just picked up a message from Councillor Lloyd Chapman, who apologises he can't make it in. He's been delayed at work.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer.
Thank you.
Agenda item 3, minutes. The minutes of the last full council meeting, held on the 28th of January 2026, have not yet been published and will be considered at a future meeting. Agenda item 4, declarations of interest. Now ask the monitoring officer to give dispensation, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a full council meeting and we need to ensure that members can actually participate in the debate and vote. It is intended that all other interests that members believe that they have got that may conflict with them participating in the debate on the budget, that this be waived this evening. Thank you.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. You keep mentioning the monitor officer. I don't believe Claudette is our monitor officer. The council appoints a monitor officer. Unless I've missed a meeting, is she here as the deputy monitor officer or is she here in a different capacity?
Thank you. Just to clarify, I'm the deputy monitoring officer, and in the absence of the monitoring officer, I have got the authority to proceed as if he were present. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Jays, I should have perhaps made that clear. I do apologise. Do members have any other interests they wish to declare, please? Councillor Jays.
Me again, Madam Mayor.
Of course.
I declare that I'm a director and trustee of Citizens Advice as well. And as their grant is to be cut tonight, I should declare that.
Thank you, Councillor Jays. Are there any others? Thank you, councillors. Agenda item 5 is the Mayor's announcements. I will try and be as brief as I can. As my group know, I'm never brief. I have recently visited a number of places in Swale, including SEC Coach Works at Faversham, which was extremely interesting, looking at all the coaches and the vehicles there. I did the brewery tour at Faversham, which I can highly recommend. Town Crier competition at Sheppey, I attended at the Criterion, and Sheppey now has its Town Crier. And supported living accommodation in Sittingbourne, I visited this week and found it extremely interesting. I also attended the SCL Vision Awards a few weeks ago, and the first birthday of Her Voice at Heather House. Coming up, I'll be attending church service celebrating Romanian community in Kent, the Tree of Hope, which is on Saturday at Heather House between 12 and 3, which Next Youth are doing, and I'd encourage anyone to go and support this. I will be on the selection for Sittingbourne Carnival Queen, and I will be visiting one of the prisons on Sheppey. I promise I will come back. And I would also like to say thank you to everyone who supported my quiz night. That was on the 2nd of February, 3rd of February. It was very well attended. We had a great time and raised over £600 for the Mayor's charity. Sadida won and the officers came second. And I won't say who came last. Let's put it that way. But it wasn't the Labour group. I did. But someone that's sitting down that end came last. Thank you, members. So agenda item 6 is questions submitted by the public. There have been no questions received. Agenda item 7, questions submitted by members. There have been no members' questions received. So we go to agenda item 8, the leader's statement. I will ask the leader to read his statement and then I will ask the leaders of the opposition groups to respond in the usual way. Following that, I will invite other members to respond to the leader's statement. Members invited to speak will have 3 minutes. This time has an overall limit of 30 minutes. To ensure broad fairness, I will try to invite responses from members of the administration and opposition groups in roughly equal numbers. Please indicate clearly, because we all know my sight isn't brilliant. It may mean that I will deviate from the order in which members have indicated a wish to speak. Can I please remind all members that responses must be to the issues raised in the leader's statement. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson to give a verbal statement.
Thank you and good evening, Madam Mayor, one and all. As this is our Budget Council, I'll keep my remarks deliberately brief this evening. Tonight our focus must be on the decisions before us in setting a responsible budget, protecting essential services and supporting our residents through continued financial pressures. This budget reflects extremely difficult choices, but it also reflects our priorities for fiscal stability, value for money and investment where it matters most. I thank officers and pay tribute to members from all parties for their work in getting us to this point, and I look forward to a constructive and focused debate this evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite Councillor Lloyd Bowen to give a response to the statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Leader, for that very short and brief statement. Totally concur. Thank you.
Blimey. I invite Councillor Mike Baldock to respond to the statement, please.
Yeah, not a lot to respond to, but the leader did mention the budget, and we will be having a discussion on that later. I'll just say I was pleased to see that we weren't introducing the idea of having political organisers and political advisors to cover up our own incompetence, like has been happened elsewhere. And I think that's a really good move.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. I invite Councillor Hannah Perkin to give a response to the statement, please. Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I invite Councillor Richard Palmer to give a response to the statement, please.
I'm just pleased that the leader's statement wasn't too taxing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. I invite Councillor Terry Thompson to give a response to the statement, please.
Thank you, but I'll leave it for the debate later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I invite other members to give a response to the statement, please. I'm not seeing any hands shooting up. Thank you, members. If that's the case, I will invite Councillor Tim Gibson to respond to the members' comments, please. Keep it brief.
That's very kind, Madam Mayor, and I will just reflect on one of the comments I made during my leader's statement, and that's to wish Councillor Derek Carnell a very happy birthday for tomorrow.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. And if we've all had the appropriate training, I'm sure we'll go for giving him the bumps later. Agenda item 9 is nomination of mayor for 2026-27. One nomination has been received for mayor. I invite Councillor Carrie Pollard to propose her nomination for Councillor Derek Carnell and give a short supporting speech.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to have the pleasure of nominating Councillor Derek Carnell for the position of Mayor of Swale. Councillor Carnell is a figure of integrity, dedication, and has exceptional experience in public service, qualities that defined what our borough looks for when appointing its mayor. Derek's commitment to serving the people of Swale is demonstrated not only through his years as a councillor, but also through an extensive and distinguished career in public service that spans more than 5 decades. His life experience, time as a magistrate, and work in the witness service contributes to Derek's obvious empathy, sense of fairness, and demonstrates his commitment to public duty. This lifelong commitment to justice and civic duty demonstrates precisely the temperament and character we should seek in our mayor. As an elected member of this council since 2019, his diligence and unwavering commitment across the council and committees, Derek has earned the respect and trust of his residents and colleagues alike, further evidenced by his already successful service as Deputy Mayor of Swale. Derek's service continues to extend beyond this chamber. He is a trustee of Milton Creek Country Park, contributing to one of our most valued community spaces, and also serves as treasurer of the Kemsley Over 55s Club, helping to strengthen social connections and reduce isolation among older residents. To add to all of this, Derek is a family man, which is maybe why he is so easy to relate to. He is supported by his wife, Pat Carnell, who has already proven an excellent deputy mayoress, a partnership that will undoubtedly continue to serve the borough well during the mayoral year. Councillors, to nominate someone for mayor is to nominate an ambassador for Swale, someone who will represent us with dignity, approachability, professionalism and heart. Councillor Derek Carnell embodies all of these qualities. His record is exemplary, his service long-standing, and his commitment to our community undeniable. For these reasons, it's my honour to formally nominate Councillor Derek Carnell to serve as the next Mayor of Swale. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. I now invite Councillor Mike Baldock to second the nomination and give a supporting speech.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And what an excellent speech that was, Kerry. Nicking everything. What I was going to say. Derek has been a brilliant deputy mayor. I've seen him on many visits, appointments, and he carries them out with such enthusiasm. And you can really see that, as Kerry said, his partner and him make a really good team. I think they will, and it could be our last mayor, I think they will see Swale out in style. They have the gravitas, but also the relatability that you need in a mayor. It will also mean that I will not be putting him as a substitute on planning ever again, as he showed his independence of thought once too often. But I do hope he continues to represent us on audit, where he does an excellent job, and where I have joined the committee just so that I can see Derek in action. Oh, no, you haven't. No. I'm still waiting, because I forgot. Aside from playing golf, which I think is a walk wasted, Derek is an all-round chap, and I think people across the borough can relate to him. Old and young, serious and jovial, Sheppy, Sittingbourne and Faversham. And I think that's what we need, and I look forward to him being our mayor. Thank you, Derek. And, of course, make his birthday.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. As there is only one nomination for mayor, it is not necessary to take a vote, and I am privileged and proud to declare that Councillor Derek Carnell is the new mayor-elect for 2026-27, and I invite Councillor Carnell to make a short speech.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. It will be very short because, you know, I want to get home tonight. But I thank everyone who's, especially Madam Mayor and the mayoral team, for all their support while being Deputy Mayor. members, I thank you for supporting me, even though we didn't have a vote. And when you were both saying those lovely things about me, Kerry, I wondered who it was you were talking about, but you've done very well. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope to be able to do the task as Mayor as well as Madam has done. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you, Councillor Carnell. It's been an absolute privilege having you as my deputy. So you're going to absolutely smash it being Mayor. So well done. Let's not get emotional. Agenda item 10, nomination for Deputy Mayor 2026-27. One nomination has been received for Deputy Mayor for 2026-27. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson to propose his nomination for Councillor Angela Harrison and to give a short supporting speech.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to rise this evening to propose the appointment of our next Deputy Mayor for Swale. The role of Deputy Mayor is such an important one, as I'm sure that those who have tread that path will testify. It requires dedication, a strong sense of public service, and a willingness to represent this council and this borough with dignity, warmth, respect, and professionalism. It's my considered opinion that my nomination embodies all of those qualities and many, many more. Throughout her decades, yes, decades on this council, my nominee has shown unerring commitment, not just to her ward, but more widely within the borough. She has the utmost respect for colleagues across the chamber, in spite of her at times robust challenges and interjections. Above all, she understands the communities that we represent and responsibility that comes with civic office. I have every confidence that as Deputy Mayor, she will support our Mayor admirably and carry out the role with pride and distinction. And I hope that she'll remain laser focused rather than taser focused in her approach. It is therefore my honour, privilege and pleasure to propose that Councillor Angela Harrison be appointed as Deputy Mayor of Swale for the ensuing municipal year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I now invite Councillor Ashley Wise to second the nomination and give a supporting speech.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I've known Councillor Harrison for 18 years now. I know it's hard to believe, neither of us look old enough for that to be true. Through that time, and especially since being elected to this chamber a little under 3 years ago, she has been somewhat of a mentor, guide and a listening ear, always available at the end of the phone to talk things through, and that's a landline, of course, not a mobile. Councillor Harrison will freely admit I don't always take up the advice. I'm not sure I'd be as reliable in possession of a taser, but her knowledge, insight, and 5 decades of council experience has been invaluable, and what she has to say is always worth thinking about. At some point or other, we've all seen Councillor Harrison make her views known plainly and often with a forceful passion behind them. We've also seen how ably she uses her knowledge of procedure and her command of a committee from the chair. Experience, knowledge, respect, key attributes that Councillor Harrison will bring to the role of Deputy Mayor. And as someone who has attended dozens and dozens of events and knocked quite literally tens of thousands of doors with Councillor Harrison, I also know how well she will fit into the role, supporting the Mayor out there in the community. Councillor Harrison is immeasurably qualified to be our next Deputy Mayor, and I'm delighted to second Councillor Gibson's nomination.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. A little ripple there. As there is only one nomination for Deputy Mayor, and it's not necessary to take a vote, I declare proudly that Councillor Angela Harrison is the new Deputy Mayor-elect for 2026-27, and I invite Councillor Harrison to make a short speech. You're on the clock, Angela.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I'm not sure I could be... I'm just thinking the heating's due to come on at 9, so I was thinking if I could get home at 9:30, that would be nice and warm. So perhaps I could just run this along. So, does this mean I can give myself a badge and put in my request for a taser? No, I finally gave in, kicking and screaming. I will say that much, and I'll do my best to help and support you, Derek. I can only say that. Thanks, and thanks everyone.
Thank you, members. Agenda item 11, local government reorganisation, government consultation. Don't all roll your eyes. I invite the leader, Councillor Tim Gibson, to speak and propose the recommendation. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You do love to keep exercising me at these meetings. Quite simply, the recommendation before us is for the Council to provide delegation to the Chief Executive to prepare and submit the response from Swilborough Council to the MHCLG in response to their consultation on local government reorganisation proposals for Kent and Medway. And this, of course, will be following a member workshop and consultation with all group leaders. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite the Deputy Leader, Councillor Ashley Wise, to second the recommendation and ask whether he wishes to speak now or reserve his right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to second the recommendations and I will reserve my right. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite Councillor Lloyd Bowen to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We seem to just keep going round and round and round in circles with this, and eventually at some point something might actually come to a conclusion, but not in the near future, it seems. I think we have a choice here tonight, and I totally endorse the recommendation. We can either, in terms of our response, we can either disagree with this and come back as a full council and make people traipse in on whatever seems to be an ever-going rainy night, and whether we want to do that, or we can actually achieve the same thing by delegating to the chief exec after consultation through an online meeting and through group leaders of what this actual council wants, if it's any different to what we've already said time and time again. The only thing that's different is I do wonder at times why all the effort we put into our proposals when government has turned around and said, oh, we're going to talk about every single one of them anyway. It goes on, but totally endorse the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. I invite Councillor Mike Baldock to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this consultation is now live. The government is pretending to ask us what we think, and we have to pretend to tell them what we think of the options. Now, there are 5 options. We have given a vague support to one of them. This is our chance to say why we think the others are even worse. But also, if there is one of the others that we think is less worse, but not as good as the one that is least worse that we've voted for, we can say that. So, very productive. So I support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. I invite Councillor Hannah Perkin to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, what Councillor Baldock said, really. I think I was quite surprised, actually, that all 5 options came forward, considering one of them didn't comply with literally any of the government recommendations. So, yes, we'll be saying what we said before, and I'll still be saying what we said before, and the fact that I don't want it to happen, really. So, here we are. Great.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I invite Councillor Richard Palmer to respond, please.
Yep, thank you. Yep, I agree with what's been said. The only sad thing is, yes, there are 5 on the table, but maybe the government will have option 6 and do something that's totally unexpected. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. I invite Councillor Terry Thompson to respond, please.
I'd just like to echo what's been said, really. I think it's been covered. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I open this to debate from the members. Please indicate if you wish to speak. Councillor Harrison, please.
What goes around comes around. And I was here all those years ago when we spent ages and lots of dosh. And we were the only authority in Kent to complete the trilogy. The public supported a unitary, councillors supported a unitary, and business supported a unitary. The only one out of the 14 districts in Kent. And when it went up, it was, the recommendation is nobody. Except at that time, I'm going to try and be very discreet here, there was a Labour Liberal administration at Kent County Council for the first time in 99 years. So they were sent back down. And that's how Medway was born. So whatever we say, and, you know, whatever colour is up there, they'll be doing exactly what they want.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Does anyone else wish to add to the debate? Councillor Wise, you reserved your right.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I think all of the overspilling enthusiasm to talk about local government reform is palpable in this room, and it really captures the mood out there among the public to talk about this as well. But if this recommendation saves us some time from having to go through all that again, then very much in favour of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson to respond to members' comments if he wishes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Chief Executive, for setting me up as the mood hoover for the evening. So much appreciated. Consider summing up done, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. We shall go to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand clearly. Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Then that is carried unanimously. Thank you, members. Agenda item 12, the Pay Policy Report. I invite the leader, Councillor Tim Gibson, to speak and propose the recommendations. Councillor Gibson.
Only me, Madam Mayor. So this one is the proposed pay policy statement, agreed for publication on the Council's website, and the information within the pay policy statement is updated with actual year-end figures before its final publication. This item has been before Policy and Resources. It is an annual event that has to take place, and I've not really any further to say about it at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite Deputy Leader Councillor Ashley Wise to second the recommendation and ask whether he wishes to speak now or reserve his right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to second the recommendation, and I will reserve my right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. I invite Councillor Lloyd Bowen to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only comment I'll make, and I said this at P&R, on Appendix 1, bracket C on page 27, in terms of the Chief Executive and Director appraisal process, just to be clear that whilst it is the leader, deputy leader, and the leader of the largest opposition party, constructive opponent maybe, but undertake the appraisal, that is actually carried out through all the group leaders have the opportunity to take part in that and to feed into that. If any members were wondering about it, but it's not just the three of us. Actually, it is open to all group leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. I invite Councillor Mike Baldock to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Trade unions are the voice of the people in the workplace, and membership is declining across the country. And I think that's unfortunate. And I think it's a shame that we do not allow any paid trade union activity time, because that's when you can increase membership. You can have time to go around and encourage people to join, explain what trade unions are about. And I know we never have it, and I just think it's a bit of a shame. I don't know if any other councils in Kent do, but maybe we could look at it for next year.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. I invite Councillor Hannah Perkin to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I really wanted to pick up on is the fact that the gender pay gap has increased compared to last year, and I think that's something that we should probably look to reduce. I understand that some of that is due to the fact that we're quite good at looking after our staff and keeping them here. So there's not many new positions coming on board, but we are a fair bit ahead of some of the other boroughs in Kent. So it'd be something just to look at. I appreciate that might be a question for another time, but just wanted to highlight it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I invite Councillor Richard Palmer to respond.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I agree with the report. Thank you.
I invite Councillor Terry Thompson to respond, please.
No response, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I open the debate to members. I can't see hands going. Oh, Councillor Whiting.
Just thank you, Madam Mayor. It's only a brief one because I mean support the policy generally. It's a shame we hear regularly on the news recently of the increasing difficulty for young people finding work, and I don't see anything concrete within this pay policy that would encourage the council to employ younger people over. Now, I may have missed it. Apologies if I have. But I think it's important that big public bodies, and we are a big public body, do what they can to support the young people of the borough in encouraging them and finding positions and encouraging them to apply. And I don't see anything within this pay policy that would necessarily attract a young person over and above somebody perhaps with greater experience than they would have accrued over their short working life. So I think it's a shame. I'll be supporting it, of course, but it just seems a shame that there's a bigger mission there, and we should be doing more perhaps. And perhaps the relevant committee at some stage in the near future would look at what more this council can do to increase the opportunities for young people in the borough. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whiting. Was there anyone else that wanted to contribute to the debate? Councillor Wise, you reserved your right. Ask you to speak now, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And I think the comments from Councillor Perkin were comments that Councillor Baldock also raised at Policy and Resources. So I think it's a totally fair thing for us to apply some scrutiny to, and to make sure that the progress that has been made in the recent decade or so isn't something that we fall back on. There may be limited levers, but I do think that it's totally right that we do look at those levers, and that extends to the comments that Councillor Whiting has made as well. And I think there was a time when lots of local authorities were considering their role in creating local apprenticeships, and we all know as well that there are some real difficulties in local government in attracting people with relevant skills who will stay within local government. And sometimes it's those apprenticeships and the people that come on through those that are more likely to stay within the sector, and it can be a really worthwhile investment as well as creating worthwhile opportunities for younger people. So that is definitely something that I think there should be a real renewed focus on across local government going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. I invite Councillor Gibson to respond to members' comments if he wishes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wise, for summing up for me. It is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I now ask members in attendance to state their vote by show of hands. All those in favour, please raise your hand clearly. Anyone want to vote against? Please indicate. And are there any abstentions? One. Thank you, Terry. That is carried. Thank you, members. Item 13 is the budget and council tax. What I intend doing, if it is agreeable, I don't think you will disagree with me, but I'd like to go for an adjournment before we deal with the council tax and budget. Normally I'd say 10 minutes. I'm going to give us 15 because I think somebody might want to go and get a drink, or you don't have to rush back, basically. So 15-minute adjournment. That will bring us to 10 to 8, councillors. I will be starting dead on time. Thank you. 10 to 8, please. Members, please be seated. I'm just having a quick look. I think everyone's come back, haven't you? Yeah, Mike and Angela are here. Yeah. Okay. Members. Agenda item 13, budget and council tax for 2026-27. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson, the leader, to speak and propose the recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So tonight we're presenting a budget that is genuinely very different from those of the past. It's the first truly cross-party council budget, and I'm proud to say that it's been built on not on party lines, but on shared commitment to do the best that we can for our community. This budget did not come together overnight, of course. It's a result of 12 months of work, shaped through monthly cross-party budget meetings and star chambers, where every group around the table was given the opportunity to challenge, to contribute, and to influence the final outcome through the budget working group. Those discussions were not always easy. They involved compromise on all sides, difficult choices, and honest debate. But throughout that process, there was a common goal: to produce the best possible outcomes for our residents within the financial realities that we as a council face. What does make this budget significant is not just the figures on the page, but in the way in which it was created. Members from across the chamber worked constructively, put aside political differences where necessary, and focused on what unites us rather than what might divide us. I want to place on record my personal thanks to all members involved for engaging in that spirit, and to our officers for their professionalism, patience, expertise, and yes, their tolerance in supporting this process week in, week out, and month after month after month. This budget demonstrates that collaboration works. It shows that when we work together, listen to each other, and accept that no one gets everything that they want, we can deliver a balanced and responsible budget that reflects shared priorities and protects the services that our residents rely on every day. I'm generally proud of the way that we've worked together on this, and genuinely pleased, probably uniquely for Swale, to present a budget that belongs to the whole council, and I commend it accordingly, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite Councillor Lloyd Bowen to second the recommendation. You may speak now or reserve your right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I second the recommendation and I reserve. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite Councillor Baldock to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's interesting when a budget is proposed by the largest party and seconded by the opposition. And between them, they have more than half the members of this council. So it's kind of hard to be told it's, when we're in the budget meetings, it's your budget. Because you know how it's going to go. If there's unity between the Conservatives and Labour, they will carry it. And there has been. There has been strong agreement and alignment between the two groups, which makes it hard to come up with anything new, especially when long-term programmes can't be carried out in a council that's going to cease to exist. We're in a really sad situation as a council now, as indeed are all the councils in Kent. We're treading water because pretty soon new councils with new programmes will come along. We can't do a 5-year strategy anymore. We can't look forward. We've just got to get through 2 years. I wonder what the budget will be like when we set it for a council that doesn't exist. That's going to be an interesting year. The main thing, and I've sensed this was going to happen since November, so I kind of knew that this was going to happen, but I knew that there wouldn't be resolution, is the decision to charge on the island for some car parks. And I think it's unfortunate that tonight we can't discuss that. There's a lot of public concern about it. a lot of public anger. And the fact that we aren't discussing it tonight, except I am, but the fact that we can't discuss it around an amendment and have it voted on, I think is a shame on this council. That's how it will be seen by the members of the public. And for that reason, at the moment, I can't support the budget because I think that decision is a wrong one. I think we should have taken this opportunity to look forward, support the people of Sheppey, because you're not going to get any increase in footfall in our struggling businesses by charging. Spending £30,000 in the hope you make £30,000 doesn't seem great economics when you've only got 2 years left. And for that reason, I think this is a big error. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. I invite Councillor Perkin to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is this budget perfect? No. Did everyone get everything they wanted? Also, no. But that's kind of the point. Creating it wasn't about ticking every box for every wish on every wish list. If only we were able to do that, wouldn't that be fabulous? But it was about sitting down, having tough conversations, making compromises and figuring out what actually works for our community. Everyone involved had to give a little, and they had to listen a little more. And what we've ended up with is something balanced, sensible and focused on our residents, despite the really difficult financial circumstances that local government finds itself in at the moment. It was an open and transparent process involving trust, honesty and an open doors policy. Many people walked through those doors, some chose not to. That's their choice, but it does make any complaints that may be presented this evening a little less convincing. It's never been starker in this chamber than over the past few months that we disagree on national politics and sometimes on core values. We have different views on big issues, different priorities, different philosophies. But what really matters is this. When it comes to our residents, we can put that aside and we can work together. Putting this budget together shows that even when we don't agree on everything, we can still agree on what matters most. It hasn't been easy, but many times doing the right thing isn't easy. And we got there in a time of increasing political polarisation. We rolled up our sleeves and we got on with the job. I think that shows maturity, responsibility, and frankly, respect for the people that have put us in this position. It has my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I invite Councillor Richard Palmer to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to appreciate the hard work that the officers have put in and the members, but Lisa's always been available and her team to answer questions and to attend meetings or whatever. And people have worked to try and get a balanced budget, and we've got a balanced budget. However, I have the same concerns as Councillor Baldock. Budget is perhaps one of the biggest impacts on our residents. But when so many residents are drawing something to the attention of this council that they feel is wrong, then I think this budget should be reflecting their views. And I feel by not accepting certain amendments, that's been restricted tonight. And I think that's a sad reflection on democracy. But it is a balanced budget. It is a worked out budget. However, in the form that it is, I don't feel I can support such a budget because I feel there's a deficit in the involvement of the public, and the public are being misserved tonight by not having certain amendments being discussed. They may not pass, and then that opens the door for the budget as it is. But not to allow them here, I think, is quite an affront to the people and to democracy. But the officers have put in hard work and members have put in hard work, and it's a good, solid budget to go forward. It's just a shame the way it's come to it in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. I invite Councillor Thompson to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a point that the erosion slowly from central government of funding over many years, the fact that we have pretty unregulated capitalism these days means that we're unlikely to see many funds coming from central government, means we're put in a position to create a budget as we have now, which is fairly skinny. So I echo the work of the officers over there that have been mentioned by other councillors. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I now open the debate to members. Please indicate if you wish to speak. Councillor Whiting, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I won't be supporting the budget. I very much agree with Councillor Baldock's sentiments. The one issue that brought the public alive with this budget, before it happened and during the budget consultation itself, was the issue of introducing car parking charges on Sheppey. 1 in 8 of the voters on Sheppey said that they didn't want this to happen. 1 in 8 of the voters didn't want it to happen, but we're going ahead with it. And it is a balanced budget. Everybody's worked very hard on it. Not every member. It's not a member that belongs. It's not a budget that belongs to the whole council. It certainly doesn't belong to me, and I wasn't involved because I'm not in a group. I wasn't involved with any of those budget discussions, which is fine. That's the constitution. No complaint about that. My complaint is that we have consistently not listened to the public. So the budget is a balanced budget, but we've introduced the problem we needn't have introduced. Somebody said it was a good idea to spend 32 grand on car park machines in the hope that we might get 32 grand back in they could have easily made that decision not to spend the 32 grand on car parking machines, then they wouldn't have needed to raise the money to pay for them. But the dogma and the attitude of some has just made this go through. It is, I feel, it would be wrong of me to vote in favour of a budget that 1 in 8 of the residents of the island, part of which I represent, are against. So for that reason, Madam Mayor, I shall certainly be voting against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whiting. Next one I have is Councillor Nundy, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This budget will introduce car parking charges at 4 car parks on the Isle of Sheppey, which is going to increase the amount of money that people are spending. Hard-working people already pay council tax. They already pay, in my view, a very inflated level of income tax. And now to use a couple of small car parks in Swale and actually keep people in the borough spending money in local businesses, they're going to have to pay for the honour of doing so. And I think some parts of the borough have got more to offer than other parts of the borough. And I just don't think that what's on offer on Sheppey really constitutes that. I'm not trying to say anything bad about the island, but I love it. I chose to move there. But in comparison to other areas of the borough where there are things like cinemas and bowling alleys, I think trying to introduce parking charges at the Little Oyster car park is a bit out of order. And to be honest, the car park's going to need thousands and thousands of pounds to do it up and actually make it charge worthy. I know from my personal experience and that of the residents that I represent how much of an impact car parking charges have already had on the road network on the island, and the additional charges that are going to come in as a result of the budget tonight will only make the situation worse. At some point, it is only going to take one road closure and the entire island will come to a standstill. It's going to have an ongoing detrimental impact on local independent businesses, a detrimental impact on the road network on the Isle of Sheppey, and a detrimental impact on the people that I represent in this chamber. I don't think that you should try and balance the books by introducing more charges. I think that we should be looking to reduce parking charges across the borough to encourage people to visit our high streets and town centres, because I'm sure we all know they are dying, shops are closing, businesses are closing down every single day, and it's because people don't want to pay for parking charges. I cannot, in good faith, vote in favour of this budget because of the detrimental impact it's going to have on my own community and the people that I have been elected to represent. It really is as simple as that, Madam Mayor. I would urge other members of this council to not vote for it as well, for the reasons I've spoke about, and the thousands of Sheppey residents who have quite unanimously said no to this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Nundy. Councillor Wise, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. It goes without saying, obviously I will be supporting this budget this evening. I think it is fair to say that local government reorganisation and the legacy of 14 years of austerity in local government did loom large over the budget setting process. It has done for some time and it will do into the future. But I welcome, as the leader and Councillor Perkin said, the way that members were upfront and willing to work together to produce something that we hoped could command broad support, which we thought is particularly important going into the future with local government reorganisation looming there. But we also have to plan as if we are going to be here longer than now. The government decision this week about what's going on in other local authorities shows there is uncertainty in the LGR road ahead. So we can't just say we're going to be abolished and, you know, maybe we just spend what reserves we have, or we just pack up and give up because we can't plan into the future. And as Councillor Thompson said, we are a lean council with very little non-statutory spend. We are treading a fine line financially, and we must be responsible, as financial instability will cost our residents dearly. And we have to do that as if we are going to be here beyond the next couple of years, because taking poor decisions with financial stability is just delaying that inevitable cost. And I will just say about the link between parking charges and footfall, I think all of us recognise that we wouldn't really like to be putting up parking charges anywhere. But I was all ears for proposals for people to come forward to remove or reduce parking charges right across the borough. That's what I'm interested in when we're producing a Swale Borough Council budget. And actually just making that link between parking charges and footfall does a total disservice to the many other factors that are really facing our town centres and our high streets, a lot of which is well beyond the grasp of a Swale Borough Council budget. It ignores the impact of Amazon, online shopping, the impact the pandemic had on shopping habits, the impact that supermarkets have had, where there were once 6 or 7 shops, you can go to a supermarket and get it all in one place now. All of this has been impacting our high streets, and I would like to look as a local authority about what more we can do to support our town centres. Welcome those proposals coming through to the Economy and Property Committee, but as far as this budget goes, it has my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. Councillor Ben J. Martin, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and hopefully I'm going to try and flip this from being a mood hoover to being a bit more exciting and a bit happier. Starting by thanking the officers, as I did at Policy and Resources, for the hard work that's gone in across the finance team. No live maths, please, ever again. We don't want live maths, but we've got to a position where there's a budget that's acceptable. We have spent 6 years being told outright we are getting to the point where you cannot cut any more from services without getting rid of entire services that are non-statutory. We've survived that. We've made it work. We've made it work with with the additional income that government is now giving compared to what we had a few years back. It's nowhere near what we had in 2010. We know that. On the other side, look at what we're doing with some of these fundings. Look at the capital budget. £21 million set aside for social housing in this borough. There's no other borough that's being that brave. We are. So there are positives in here. There's compromise, yes. No one wants to up parking charges in their area. Nobody wants to have to increase council tax rates. Nobody particularly wants to have to spend more money on homelessness, because homelessness shouldn't be a problem in a society as advanced as ours. But it is. So we have to protect services like that and spend the money there and invest what little capital we do have in projects that help to alleviate that in the long term. And that's the long-term vision we set back 2020. We set that vision. It's slowly but surely winding forward. Let's hope we get to spend that money this year, deliver those houses and start bringing people off of our streets into social homes that they can afford, so that they can spend money in our high streets. And that's what our businesses need. That's what our residents need. Look at the positives as well as the negatives. This is a good budget. It is a solid budget, and it will have my full support.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Jays, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the leader's statement, he said this budget puts investment where it matters most. We saw what most of the council's opinions was the other week at PNR, when most of Sheppey got no investment. Minster, Queenborough and Halfway got nothing from the Pride in Place impact funding. What does Sheppey get out of this budget? Higher council tax and new parking charges. Not one penny of the 1.5 million for my ward or my colleague's ward will be spent on the island. Thanks. The leader said this year was a different budget. I agree. The chairs and vice chairs were not invited to the Star Chamber or any of the budget setting work. This is indeed a change from last year. Open door policy was mentioned. Where was the invites for the chairs and vice chairs of service committees? We were told at the Environment Committee we couldn't make amendments there. That was for this council meeting. Members in good faith put forward amendments that were rejected apparently. I was told I'd hear from the Monitor Officer about my amendments. This is yet to happen. The money that this parking was supposedly raised could go to cover one of many unagreed items by a policy from this council or by a committee. We have members' pensions that have not been debated or decided. We have planning appeal costs where the applications have yet to be decided. Meeting security for meetings that have more security than members of the public, and postal costs in a digital age. We also have a coastal erosion officer. This is yet to be agreed by committee. And free car parking for the Faversham Hop Festival will remain. Most of the residents on the island are now paying for this through their parking charges. Most residents on the island cannot afford to attend the Hop Festival, but we get to enjoy paying towards it. We are scaring off tourists on low income. We are scaring off people who come and litter pick our beaches. We are scaring off people using our outdoors and getting fresh air and exercise. If this budget is voted down tonight, we can come back Monday and throw out these unpopular new parking charges and get an all-party agreement on this budget. We consulted the public and the public said they did not want these charges. Over 4,000 residents took the time to tell us they did not want this. Instead of looking again at the budget, the members of the national political parties continue to drive this through. Anyone who votes for this budget tonight is no friend of Sheppey. It will come as no surprise that I'm voting against this budget, and this will be for the first time in 6 years. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jays. Councillor Bonney, please.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a question of the officers because I can't remember the answer. How many households do we have that pay council tax in Swale? I couldn't find it on the report.
The tax base?
Yes.
Sorry, through you, Chair.
Yes.
The tax base is on the report, is 51,038.68, something like that. That's not exactly right off the top of my head.
50 and a half thousand, shall we call it?
That's Band D equivalents.
Yeah.
That's not the number of dwellings that pay council tax.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. So just to focus people's minds, because I like to go back to quite simple things. If that's the number of properties in Swale that are due to pay council tax, so in round numbers, that's 50,000. Through our local plan process, we've been asked to look at creating 17,000 new properties. Let me just let that sink in. That's an enormous increase. An enormous increase. And what my residents are asking is, we've seen a load of growth. You've got a load of council tax. And apart from the 400 trees that suddenly appeared in Bapchild overnight in a typical open green space planted in front of a bench, what are you doing with my money? And where are the services that came with those Section 106 agreements for all those developments? That's capital funding. But the revenue is the household income, the council tax that's paid every year by these new residents. And we seem to be falling further and further behind. The costs escalate, but the service doesn't. And I think there's a really good little diagram in here, because we're bickering tonight over only 9% of the council tax bill. And I think that's quite a sad reflection. And I have to explain that over and over again to my residents, is that those thousands of pounds you pay each year in council tax, only a tiny fraction of that comes to Swale. with a large chunk of it going to KCC. So for those councillors here from KCC tonight, I'd really like to know, on all the new developments, how you're getting on with delivering all those contributions for all those new houses and mitigating the harm. I'd like to see on our income exactly what we're getting, because the library services that were supposed to come, the school services that were supposed to come, the bus services that were supposed to come, and yet we fund a lot of stuff out of our own grants and our own money.
Time, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bonney. Councillor Charles Gibson, please. Oh, sorry. Won't be a moment.
So, as way of an update, that was our Band D equivalents. We've got around 68,000 dwellings in the district that are actual homes.
So if I may, Madam Mayor, to come back, I think that's still horrifying when you look at that, the proportion, 68,000 to the so-called 17,000, what we are expected to do as a borough and what we've delivered.
Councillor Charles Gibson, please.
Hard agree, Councillor Bonney, on that point. But my substantive comments, those of you who have been through this journey of the many meetings where we've discussed parking, is going to be again on the theme of parking parity. Councillor Martin eloquently spoke about all of the positives in this budget, and I wholeheartedly support them. There are a great deal, and the compromises required to achieve them are difficult. They are not ideal. When our residents in Faversham were asked about overnight parking, they almost unanimously said they were against it, and this council forced it upon them against their will. And our town adapted. It overcame, and it continued to thrive. And the town council in Faversham took steps to alleviate those challenges. It encouraged more public transport. It encouraged more walking and cycling. There is more we can do. We do not have to be negative about everything. Councillor Wise very correctly pointed out that there are a great many factors leading to the decline of the high street, but there are also a great many factors in our control as elected members of this council and parishes and county council that we can do to encourage and support our high streets, and I wholeheartedly look forward to our colleagues doing those as we go forwards. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Marchington, please. And then Charlie.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Sorry. I'm sorry to have to say tonight that I've seemed to have been drawn into one issue argument in here tonight, which should not apply to a budget for the whole of Swale. I fought as hard as anybody to try and stop parking, but we lost the vote. You have to move on. But I'm still working at different things, even now. I'm looking at hoping Queenborough Town Council would take it on themselves to pay for those. So some of us, we lost that vote. It's not anything to do with the budget tonight. It shouldn't be. We're looking at a bigger picture. Unfortunately, because I've been drawn into this, I will have to abstain on a vote tonight, and I do apologise. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marchington. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This budget is a testament to what we can achieve when we work across the chamber, listening to one another, finding common ground and focusing on what matters most to residents. Together, we've prioritised sensible local investment and ring-fenced key frontline services, street cleaning, waste and recycling, so people see reliable, practical improvements where they live. It reflects collaboration, compromise and a shared determination to deliver value for money and stable services for our communities. This budget clearly has my full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. I can't see any more hands. Councillor Bowen, you reserved your right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, let's start with some of the, I'll say negatives. There was a comment about planning appeal costs. Well, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. In previous years, the council have been criticised for not actually putting some budget away, just in case we have planning appeals. And yet, now we're doing it. Why are we doing it? Sort it out. It's being sorted out. it's nice to see a budget that actually, yes, there is nobody, as Councillor Martin said, nobody wants to increase taxes that they don't need to. But then, if we want to keep the services going, it's unfortunate, but it's needed. But we're not trying to parade this off as being a cut to your tax by increasing it not by as much as we possibly can. How much of a fool do people think the public actually are? It's not putting up quite as much as we could and costing £10 million in the process. Well done. This, members, I reiterated, I think Councillor Harrison said it in previous meetings, we are not here tonight as members for Sheppey. We're not here as members for Minster. We are not here as members for Tenham and Linstead. We are here as Swale Borough councillors for a borough budget. We are here for the interests of the borough. Please think about that when you're voting shortly. In terms of the process, it's already been said, and I agree. Since 2019, and unless I'm mistaken, this is the smallest drawdown from reserves since 2019. That doesn't happen by fluke. That happens by conversations through the joint working of the parties. There is no, we're the biggest two parties. This is a budget from conversations and discussions and compromise. Is it the budget we wanted? No. Is it budget Tim wants? No. Is it budget that Reform wants? Don't know. They didn't take part in it, but probably not. Is it the budget Lib Dem want? No. But it's a budget that we can all work, we have worked with, we continue to work with, and we've done compromises. And that is the best thing about this council, that we can have the ability to have adult conversations and talk about things for the benefit of the borough, not just with respect 4,000 people on the island, which formed part of the borough. I pay tribute to the officers and their contributions and the budget working group. It has been, I think, I'm being biased because it's the first time I've been involved in it, the best budget working that I've certainly been involved with, because we've been talking about it. And I think I'm going to leave it there. But no, actually, no, one more point. It wouldn't be on Monday we come back. If we can't agree a budget tonight, we carry on tonight. Monday is a substitute. We don't need to do that. We have a good budget here. We have a workable budget. We have a budget for the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. Would Councillor Tim Gibson, as the proposer of the original motion, like to sum up?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think most previous speakers have summed up quite adequately. But what I would say to colleagues that are espousing the view that Sheppey gets nothing, Sheppey gets left behind, and so on, we have spent tens and tens and hundreds of thousands on the Isle of Sheppey, and actually millions in some areas in improvements. Look at Sheerness, for example. Some of those things that's going on there. We've got £20 million heading out towards the east of the island. So to say that we don't give anything for Sheppey is absolutely a falsehood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillors, there will be a recorded vote, and I will ask each member in physical attendance to state their vote. Councillor Angela Harrison. Chris Palmer.
Against.
Tim Gibson.
A point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Baldock.
Recommendation 4 is that in accordance with the proposals contained within SI 2014 number 165, that a recorded vote be taken on the 26-27 budget and council tax. That's the recommendation we haven't actually voted on yet.
There must be a recorded vote on the budget as well as council tax setting.
Should we scrap that recommendation?
Sorry, Councillor, I did not get.
Oh, sorry. No, just that it's a recommendation that we're supposed to vote on. If we're not going to vote on it, let's scrap it. I just wanted to get this legally correct. It just seems crazy to have a recorded vote when one of the recommendations is that we have a recorded vote. So I'm happy that you've clarified. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's for clarity so that members are advised that it will be a recorded vote before we even start the proceedings.
Is that okay, Councillor Baldock? Can I continue?
You may indeed, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. Councillor Tim Gibson.
4.
Councillor Noe.
4.
Councillor Mischuk.
Against.
Councillor Kavanagh.
4.
Councillor Bowen.
4.
Councillor Golding. 4. Councillor Pollard.
Against.
Councillor Last. 4. Councillor Booth.
4.
Councillor Leanne Moore.
Abstain.
Councillor Speed.
4.
Councillor Jays.
Against.
Councillor Worcester.
4.
Councillor Bonney.
Against.
Councillor Wise.
4.
Councillor Cheeseman.
4.
Myself, 4. Councillor Marchington. Councillor Thompson.
4.
Councillor Jackson.
4.
Councillor Charles Gibson.
4.
Councillor Paul Stephen.
Against.
Councillor Nundy.
Against.
Councillor Whiting.
Against.
Councillor Ben J. Martin.
4.
Councillor Perkin.
4.
Councillor Sarah Stephen.
Against.
Councillor Derek Carnell.
Against.
Councillor Simon Clark.
4.
Councillor Mike Baldock.
Against.
Councillor Richard Palmer.
Against.
Councillor Hayden Braun.
4.
Councillor James Hunt.
4.
Councillor Tony Winkless.
4.
Councillor Charlie Miller.
4.
Is there anyone I've left off? I feel like I'm doing the register at school. We'll just tot up the numbers then, councillors. Councillors, it was 23 votes for, 12 against, 2 abstentions. The budget is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 14, Treasury Management Strategy 26-27. I invite the leader to introduce the report and propose the recommendation, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendations in this proposal are that the full council approve the Treasury Management Strategy 26-27 and the Prudential Treasury Management Indicators. And once again, this has been through a number of iterations, not least of which was the PNR meeting. So I shall leave that recommendation there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite Councillor Charles Gibson, Chair of the Audit Committee, to second the recommendation and reserve if he wants to reserve his right to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to second. I'll reserve my right.
Thank you. I invite Councillor Bowen to speak, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Carry on.
I invite... No. Thank you, Councillor Councillor Perkin? No. Councillor Richard Palmer?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Councillor Terry Thompson? I invite other members to speak. Oh, look at those hands shoot up. Councillor Gibson, you reserved your right to speak.
What an enormous waste of time. I shall sum up then by thanking our officers wholeheartedly for their sterling work on this. It is a great piece of work and delivers real value for money for this council and all of our residents, and goes through an enormous amount of work and scrutiny across this council to get to this place. We've seen it at Audit Committee. It's been at Policy and Resources as well. So a huge thank you to them and to all of the members who have done that work in those committees. It is no small task, but it delivers the value that our residents deserve. So happy to move. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Tim Gibson, do you wish to sum up the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On this occasion, the Gibsons accord wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, members. We now ask to vote on the agreement. All those in agreement with the recommendation, please raise your hand. All those against? Any abstentions? Carried unanimously. Thank you, members. Agenda item 15, urgent item. Please can all the members confirm they've received and read the email circulated last Thursday, the 12th, with the link to the council tax reduction scheme report and the to follow appendix, which was circulated on Monday. Have you all seen it, read it? There will be questions asked. Yeah, okay, thank you, members. I invite the leader, Councillor Tim Gibson, to speak and propose the recommendation, please.
Only me, Madam Mayor.
What again?
Absolutely. So the purpose of this report is to recommend changes to the council's council tax reduction scheme with effect from the 1st of April 2026. Each year, full council has to approve this council tax reduction scheme for the following year. And in July 2025, the Policy and Resources Committee approved consultation be carried out in respect of proposed changes to the council's council tax reduction scheme with effect from the 1st of April 2026. The proposed changes to the scheme were approved by the Policy and Resources Committee on the 13th of January 2026. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite the Deputy Leader, Councillor Ashley Weiss, to second the recommendation, ask whether he wishes to speak now or reserve his right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to second and will reserve my right. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite Councillor Bowen to respond. I invite Councillor Baldock to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one point of clarity requested. So I had trouble understanding this. To remove the minimum income floor for self-employed working age claimants. Wasn't quite sure what that actually meant. But I'd also just like to draw Council's attention to 5.6 in the report. At a time when we're looking to support people, KCC weren't. I know that will come as a shock to many of you. KCC argued higher discounts could discourage claimants from seeking better employment. Well, we learn things more each day, don't we? Impact on taxpayers. Well, taxpayers, of course, listened last year and heard there will be no increase. And the impact on taxpayers this year is there is an increase. So we note the KCC's concerns there as well. But I better leave time for an answer to my question. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Baldock. I invite Councillor Hannah Perkin to respond, please. Oh, sorry, I do apologise.
The removal of the income floor makes it a better position for self-employed, so that there isn't a minimum requirement or a maximum requirement before they're entitled to the benefit. So it is an improved position for them.
Councillor Perkin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As it says in 2.8 of the report, council tax is a regressive tax. It is one of the most unfair taxes that exists. It puts the most pressure on the people on people in the borough who really can't take any more of that. It is the least fair to people who are poorest within our borough and across the country. And the government should be looking at doing something about it, because it really isn't a fit for purpose tax. it is really good to see that the council has taken steps to be able to kind of alleviate the pressure off of people that need it most within the borough. It obviously sits alongside our corporate responsibility and our priorities in looking after people and promoting community resilience and lifting people out of poverty. I think what I completely agree with Councillor Baldock on the point where we say that where we have said work incentive issues. This is part of like a very strange new rhetoric, which is called alarm clock Britain, as if people who are on low incomes, firstly, don't set alarm clocks to go to work. And secondly, that for some reason, those people are the people that should be pulling their socks up and just getting a better job, as if there are better jobs to go around, and as if there is, you know, just an abundance of jobs within offices that we all have to be in now, rather than being able to work in our own homes. I think it's a really toxic rhetoric, and it's something that we as a council should stand very strongly against. And it's very sad, again, to see it referenced in what is such a positive step towards reducing poverty within our borough, and I thoroughly support the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I invite Councillor Richard Palmer to respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, if you look at 5.7 of the report, the Police and Crime Commissioner had concerns about it. Sorry, that's the Fire Brigade. They had concerns and opposed it. And so at 5.8, so did the Police and Crime Commissioner. And of course, austerity from 2010 to 2015 really has caused many of the problems we face today. And that was a coalition government, and the Lib Dems took their full pleasure in inflicting pain on austerity on people. That's, you know, there are arguments that sometimes when you do schemes like this, there's working people and people who are on the breadline who do suffer and feel that it's not for them what people are doing. So, you know, yes, it is a bad thing that people are suffering, but what impact does this have down the line? Was it fully made aware in the consultation? And I don't think I can support it in the way that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. I invite Councillor Terry Thompson. Councillor? It did, thank you. I invite Councillor Terry Thompson to respond, please.
Just like to go back to the comments that Councillor Perkin made about employment. With e-commerce, just having a quick read, it's given quite a reduction in employment, and it's growing and growing, but what we're not doing is catching up with taxing that. That obviously is a central government issue, but that's something we need to look at. But, you know, to even comment that people can't get work and then they're in jobs where we're having to subsidise that because someone's not paying a fair wage isn't good. And then to have an unfair tax where a person that runs an e-commerce business can own a home that's worth 4 million and pay a fraction of a percentage more than someone who lives in a Band A is not acceptable. So that's all I've got to say, really, and I think it's a good thing to bring on the 100%.
Thank you, Councillor. I now open up the debate to members. Councillor Bonney, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is all about getting a reduction on your council tax if you hit certain circumstances. And that is all well and good if you know what your council tax is. So this is a slight hang hat, I will admit. But to make members aware, officers will know this, and it was discussed at KMEP the other day, because there is an increasing issue that if you move into a new property, you need the valuation office to give you a rateable value. And from that, Swale Borough Council can then tell you what you owe in council tax and what your discount would be. However, if that process in any way is delayed, then you don't know. And that means maybe paying your bills, your monthly bills, a nightmare because you don't actually know what you're paying. And then you'll get hit with a bill. So if you've moved into a new house and the valuation office has dragged its heels for 6 months or a year, which has happened to many residents, they then find they get a council tax bill and they get walloped with the lot. Now, yes, they should have put them aside monthly, but they didn't know what to put aside monthly because they didn't know what the council tax would be on their property because they didn't know their banding. So please, can this council, from the leader and the mayor, take back to central government that it needs to staff up the valuation office. And this is affecting residential properties and business properties. This affects people who have discounts and no discounts. But if you're expecting to build 1.5 million homes, you need to get them valued. And at the moment, you can't even do that in a timely fashion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
The Chief Executive would like to come back on that one.
Just to
please.
say, I have already written to the valuation office to say that we need more action quicker because we do have residents that are suffering. So that's already in train.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councillor Ben J. Martin, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I said at Policy and Resources when this came through previously, it's a good policy. And people from other places can dictate and say, oh, no, it might cost us a little bit. That didn't matter when they took the decision to reduce the funding for council tax collections last year at the last minute, did it? Where they pulled the rug under us with sort of half hour to spare. Heaven forbid. We have to pay to go and collect the council tax. That's one of our jobs. And actually, it costs us more money to try and get this little 10% out of this group that can't afford it than it is to actually implement a policy that gives them 100% discount. People who really need it. People who you go into their homes, certainly I do as part of my role, and they can't afford the gas bill, they can't afford the water bill. Not because they don't work, in many cases. They do work, they're in work, they're in low paid work, the work that no one else wants to do. But actually, once they've paid their rent, once they've paid a little bit towards their other bills, and they've saved a little bit to feed themselves and their family for the month, there's nothing left. So giving them just that little 10%, it's having a bit of empathy, a bit of understanding for those that are in that position and who need that support. We couldn't do it on the main budget. That's too tight. But we can support our most vulnerable through this. So I will be supporting it again, wholeheartedly, and I hope everybody else in the chamber with a heart will support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mike Whiting, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've too have a question. I mean, I'll start by saying that we'll support this. I think we've had a council rate reduction scheme for many years here. We tweak it year in, year out, but I think it's worth supporting. I suppose the upside for some of my residents in Queenville and Halfway is they can use the extra 10% they're going to save to pay for park their cars. But that aside, my more serious question is, I don't know how much each of recommendations 1 to 5 are going to cost individually. It's not set out anywhere. There's an overall figure, which I think I'm correct, is about 150, 160 grand. But I don't know how much recommendation 1 costs. I don't know how much recommendation 2 costs. We're going to have a recorded vote because this is a financial thing and we need to understand fully what we're voting for. And I don't understand the financial implications of each of those top 5 recommendations. And I'd be grateful if we could have an explanation of those numbers before we take the vote. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whiting.
No, I can't provide you with the breakdown of all of them, but the whole amount of the cost of the council tax reduction scheme is in our council tax base, which forms part of the budget that you've just agreed. So there are no further implications to the budget than that this policy is proposing. So all of those changes are already costed within the tax base calculation in the budget that has previously been agreed.
Yeah, I knew the answer to the question before I asked it. It would have been nice if the officer had come here all armed with an individual number for each of those things, because I think if we're being asked to vote on something, we should know the financial implication, and we don't. So I could support recommendation 1 and 2, for example, but not 3. But I don't know what the finances are behind that to help me make that decision. But I'll leave it there. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So it won't be a moment, Councillor Whiting. Councillor Whiting, I know you said it was going to be a recorded vote. It won't be unless it's asked for. Perhaps I shouldn't have said anything. We haven't got to that stage yet, Councillor Baldock. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this debate? Councillor Harrison.
Echoing my colleague earlier, I thought I'd better say something positive. I have been here a while, as you know, and whilst this is a regressive tax, it is nothing like as regressive as the poll tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. If there is no other indications, Councillor Charles Gibson, you did reserve your right. You wish to speak? Was it actually one? Oh, I do apologise. I was mistaken. Sorry, I've been saying Gibson all night. I got confused. Councillor Wise.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry for being so forgettable. I'll try and change that.
You put me back on.
I think going back to Councillor Martin's point, it's empathy and support that does underline this. But those of us that raise some points about this at Policy and Resources know it's some good old-fashioned cost-benefit analysis as well that underpins this. And it is, as has been already mentioned, in light of that decision taken by KCC. So yes, I understand the other precepting authorities raising their concerns, but the implications of that decision affected all precepting authorities. And going to Councillor Bonney's point earlier, it's us with the little 9% that we get from it that's being kicked about by the rest of them for this decision. Reap what you sow comes to mind. And I will just say very briefly, there may be questions that people wanted to put to officers this evening about this policy, but Policy and Resources was the opportunity to do that. There are other members here that know the chair will indulge them in allowing them to raise points on other topics that they've wanted to discuss. So that would have been the best avenue for them to get that point across and hopefully answers from officers. Thank you.
Thank
Point
you.
of order, Madam Mayor. As it's a financial regulation, and I would like to have it recorded that I'm going to support this, I'm going to call for a recorded vote.
Okay, do I have the required number? I haven't yet. Okay, thank you, councillors. I haven't actually got to Councillor Gibson responding to the members' comments, but I will. Councillor Gibson, I think you're up again.
I think somebody's been doing the vacuuming for me, Madam Mayor. Yes, the mood hoover has been absolutely at play on this one. I think it's very sensible, and I can't frankly understand anybody that would oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you. It is my understanding that a show of hands is not sufficient to call for a recorded vote. The members that wish to have a recorded vote, and maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot here, have to stand up and indicate.
That's not what this constitution said. It might have said that 10 years ago.
Yeah. I have accepted it, but okay.
It is correct that the Constitution does not specifically state that you must stand, but the Mayor obviously has the authority to set out what she'd like to see. And in my view, 5 people and more have actually put up their hands for a recorded vote. And as far as I'm concerned, that is a valid vote. But over to the Mayor, should she wish them to stand.
Madam Mayor, you have been extremely kind to members this evening, to the extent that the lack of respect in standing when members wish to speak, or anybody else for that matter wishes to speak, that has, in my 42 years on this council, you wish to speak in council chamber, you get up on your feet. It is disrespectful to speak from sitting down unless you have been given permission by the Mayor because you have issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Shall we go to the vote, ladies and gentlemen? So, recorded vote. I will call your name. Please indicate how you are going to vote. Are we ready? Thank you. Councillor Baldock, sorry, are you?
4.
Well, I wasn't actually getting to you. I was waiting for you to stop your conversation while I was going to a vote. I can tell, Councillor Baldock, it's been a long day. Councillor Mark Last, please. Councillor Lloyd Bowen.
4.
Councillor Hayden Braun.
4.
Councillor Angela Harrison. Councillor Dolly Worcester.
4.
Councillor Hannah Perkin.
4.
Councillor Monique Bonney.
4.
Councillor Shelley Cheeseman.
4.
Councillor Richard Palmer.
Against.
Councillor James Hunt.
4.
Councillor Tara Noe.
4.
Councillor Elliot Jays.
4.
Councillor Kieran Golding.
4.
Councillor Carrie Pollard.
4.
Councillor Charlie Miller.
4.
Councillor Andy Booth.
4.
Councillor Ashley Wise.
4.
Councillor Paul Stephen.
4.
Councillor Ben Martin.
4, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Peter Marchington.
4.
Councillor Chris Palmer.
Against.
Councillor Simon Clark.
4.
Councillor Sarah Stephen.
4.
Councillor Tom Nundy.
4.
Councillor Tony Winkless.
4.
Councillor Kieran Mischuk.
Against.
Councillor Tim Gibson.
4.
Now's your big moment. Councillor Mike Baldock.
4.
No, he hadn't already voted. Councillor Carol Jackson.
4.
Councillor Charles Gibson.
4.
Councillor Mike Whiting.
4.
Councillor Derek Carnell.
4.
Councillor Anne Kavanagh.
4.
Councillor Julian Speed.
4.
Councillor Leanne Moore.
4.
Myself 4. Councillor Terry Thompson.
4.
Thank you, councillors. Have I missed anybody out? All present and correct? Okay, won't keep you a moment. Yep. Councillors, the votes were 34 for, 3 against. It is carried. Thank you, councillors. So that is the last item of the evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, fellow councillors. There will be refreshments afterwards, but I hereby close the meeting at 8:55. Thank you, councillors.